We're live.
So what's Hi, hello everybody. What's good? This is the blend shape tutorial. Um, I'm gonna be sculpting flexes for Jury, and I'm gonna be walking through both my thought processes when sculpting flexes and just the anatomy behind them. The reason for why I'm doing this is because people keep asking me to do it. That's literally the only reason, because I'm not a good teacher. But the thing with Street Fighter 6 models is that we have to bear in mind is that even though I'm gonna talk about the anatomy and how it would look on a realistic face, Street Fighter 6 models are like stylized. They are semi-realistic. So then they're heavily stylized. They're a caricature. So their flexes are going to be different on them. So before we get to it, I'm just going to import Leon's head from Resident Evil 4, given by yours truly, Mr. Films. Just going to get all of them in. And, yeah. Oh, come on. Leon. I'm going to have Leon be there as a reference as to how a blend shape that I'm sculpting right now would look on a realistic model, and then how Street Fighter 6's art style um, stylizes it. So a couple of pointers about the Street Fighter 6 art style. If I look up Street Fighter 6 character faces, facial expressions on Google, luckily, um, Street Fighter 6 has this thing where the character select intro and the funny faces are like an actual thing that you can do. Um, in the game, like whenever you have a full versus screen, like the loading screen, you can make them do expressions. So that's like a very good reference into how the art style interprets facial expressions. So all character faces. Is this it? Yeah, it should be. Whatever. Continue. Oh no. God damn it. Okay. So where are you? God damn, this is loud. So first thing to notice, the quality is ass. That's one of the first things to notice. But second thing, actually, let me see if I can fucking find it. I swear to God, there was a literal like video, not a video, an article with all of the expressions just there. Oh, here it is, Game Skinny. Thank you so much. So first thing to notice, in Street Fighter 6 and the Street Fighter like art style in general, it's very cartoony, it's very exaggerated, everything is over the top and drawn out. However, despite that, stuff like wrinkles and etc. aren't very prominent. So this is the neutral face for Blanca, and this is him screaming. Right, this isn't just him going roar and all that. This is him smiling, and the smile is a very important shape key that I want to talk about. If we look at a character like Leon, for example, let me see if we can just load up previous session. If we look at a character like Leon, like how a smile will look on him, one of the first things you realize is that you have very detailed creases and wrinkles and dimples and you know all that stuff, which is what you would normally see in a realistic looking smile, right? Like right here, you can see that. But on a Street Fighter 6 character, those details aren't as prominent. And the reason for why is because why would they be? Uh, a really good example of that would be Cammy. Look at her smile. Again, that to Leon's smile that I showed earlier, and you will see that it's not really that over the top. Even like when the characters are like sneering, which would normally cause a lot of um, wrinkles and etc. Even when they're doing that, you don't have that many wrinkles. It's very clean, very anime style in a way. Look at that. Not a lot of wrinkles. So this is the first thing we need to realize. You're not gonna have deep creases and furrows and folds and all of that when characters are smiling or contracting. I will add some of that to some of the expressions because I want to add some of my own art style onto those facial blend shapes because I think it's fun that way. But yeah, one of the things you're gonna see is compared to Leon, a lot of these expressions are gonna be a lot softer in a way and more like drawn than you know, I haven't be a like an actual human face moving. Before we get going though, let me just yeah, that looks better. So with all of that in mind, let's go over some flexes. So I already did some of the flexes here in advance. I use combination of Half-Life 2 fax flexes and Team Fortress 2 hardware burst flexes. So the eyelids are like fax, and everything else is just hardware morphs. One of the first things that I like to do when I'm about to sculpt the expression flexes for a character is I like to just have the flexes be here already. They're not sculpted or anything. They're just here. They're kind of laid out so that when I'm sculpting the flexes, I don't run into the issue of being, oh, I wonder what shape key comes next. And when I'm doing correctives, they're all up here on the bottom instead of being mixed in at the top with all the other flexes. And then I can just go like and showcase all of the flexes separately once I'm done with them. So let's talk about the flexes I've just sculpted. So those first four flexes are really just eyelid flexes, right? They control the character's eyelids. The way that eyelid flexes work is that you have this muscle on the human face called the orbicularis oculi. Oh god damn it. Um, which is a muscle that is around your eye socket. And the way that it works is that it's divided into two sections. The outer section, which controls the outer portion of the eye. Here's a great example. You have the outer band, the outer section of the orbicularis oculi, and then you have the inner section, which controls the eyelids. So technically, it's three sections. You have the outer section, the middle section, and then the inner section, which is just pure eyelid. But for the sake of simplicity, let's just get into like separating into two. And whenever it moves, it tends like I know that the picture says that it moves up, but it rarely actually ever does so. At least as far as I know, and as I've noticed. For the inner oculi, yes, it does for like eyelids. But for the like parts that we're gonna move the most, which is the middle section and the outer section, um, the motion that we see tends to be inward towards the tear duct. That's like the motion that we observe. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some of the flexes I sculpted for Juri. So first thing we have is F01, which is eyelids closed. Um, so really, the way that you would sculpt this is, hold on, let me fix this. You would use the snake hook tool, which allows you to move and rotate objects. And what you would basically do is you would like mask the character's eyelid like this. Actually, I'm gonna do a better job at that. You would mask the character's upper eyelid by holding Ctrl Shift and then left mouse. You would press M to use the mask brush and then Shift to smooth. Just hold Shift. Then you would invert the mask and then you would use the snake hook brush and you would just rotate it downward like that. Make sure that the inner eyelid is closed and bendy. Uh, make sure that the eyelids are fixed. And a trick that I would like to recommend, especially when handling eyelids and hair cards, is I would advise you to select the hair and eyelids in edit mode, and then going to sculpt mode, clicking face sets, and selecting face set from edit mode selection. So that way, when you have a brush with the in the advanced tab with face sets on, you can move the eyelashes individually, and this is very useful personally. And sometimes you may notice that we may get some artifacts, and that's okay. One of the ways that you can fix this is by selecting the whole mesh, pressing F3, and looking for reset vectors under the normal section. And normally it should fix it. Yep, see, and it's gone. The artifacts are gone. And then after you rotated it down, you will like smooth out creases and folds, and then to replicate the movement of the orbicularis oris muscle, what I like to do personally is I like to just come in around the orbicularis oris region and just pull some of the regions around the eyelids and eyes towards the tear duct, because that's actually kind of what happens in real life, though I exaggerated it a little bit. Yeah. And then when a realistic character like Leon, if you want to do details and knowing muscle anatomy really helps, because this right here, as you can clearly see on here on this woman and in other examples, this furrow that you see under Leon's eye is actually his orbicularis oris showing up. So it would be because the muscle was being activated, this crease would slightly deepen. At least I like to do that at myself, because you know I feel like it helps sell the idea that the orbicularis oculi muscle is like being activated. So yeah, so that's that. I'm gonna have to re-import the head because I forgot to make a shape key for him. But that's how you would do eyelid flexes. Really, you would just use the mask brush and mask out the eyelids and just just get giddy with it. Really, you would just go in and yeah, you would just go in and move the eyelids down with the help of the snake tool brush, and then do the details as you wish. So with a realistic model like Leon, like I said, god damn it, those details such as like the orbicularis oculi being pulled in, the regions around the eyelid being affected, and the orbicularis oculi furrow on his eyes being deepened as a result of them being activated. All of this stuff um, is something that is really necessary in realistic characters if you want to make them look very good. Because this is what happens to the human face, really. Like you can exaggerate some things if you want to, but like realistically speaking, that's how the human face works. That's how it moves. Adding these details will make it more look like the skin is actually reacting to the muscles and etc. that's moving underneath it. With Street Fighter 6 models whatsoever, it's a different story because, like you can tell by looking at Jiren and looking at Leon, Resident Evil 4 models are photorealistic, while Street Fighter 6 models are more uh, cartooned and stylized. So you wouldn't need to go be like so anal about um, just how much of these details add in. Why does Discord keep like pinging me? That is unfortunate. Anyways, you wouldn't need to worry about this stuff as much. Like all of this stuff will be more soft. And the way that I like to describe Street Fighter 6 really is that a lot of it looks like it's like drawn, as opposed to like being an actual human face with muscles moving across. As you can tell with Honda's beautifully sculpted flexes. This is loading, so we're gonna have to wait a little bit. Um, but yeah, look at how cartoony this looks. This looks like straight out of a caricature, and that is Street Fighter 6's art style. It's not supposed to be photoreal. It's not supposed to look like it was photo scanned. It's really supposed to look like those characters are cartoon characters and not grounded in reality. So here's a reference from Juri, right? This is her smile. Again, if you compare that with Leonson's smile that I showed earlier, the furrows are not as apparent. Korean girl smiling, because why not? If you look at like a real smile, and you see like the furrows increases, you can see that Street Fighter 6 does not have that much. Because if you look, let's say, anime smile, you can see that uh, they don't draw the furrows and wrinkles on the characters because it would just look ugly. And most of what you get is like this line. And so to better replicate something close to that style, to that cartoony art style, uh, Street Fighter 6 decided to go for this art direction, which is something that I can definitely choose to respect and keep, but maybe I'll add some more detail onto it. Because like I said, I want to add some detail to to the model. But yeah, so that's the art style we're gonna have to bear in mind while sculpting flexes for Street Fighter 6 models. Okay, this is gonna take a while, so I don't really talk about other things related to Street Fighter 6 flexes. one of the things that is very important to realize about these models is that the characters, they have those specific appeals to them that are really sold through some of those facial expressions. So if we look, let's say, at a character like Chun Li smiling, or maybe Cammy, let's pick Chun Li, and then I don't know, a character like let's see, Ken smiling. They're essentially doing the same expression, but as you can see, Ken's laugh line is a lot more visible. His cheeks are a little more pronounced. With Chun Li, it's a lot softer because Chun Li is supposed to look pretty. She's supposed to look beautiful, and the softer a person's skin looks, the more pretty they're gonna look as well. And with Ken, he's supposed to look like a hobo. So again, because this art style calls for it, he doesn't have like deep furrows and wrinkles. But yeah, as you can see, very two different beasts, really. Yeah. Another thing I would like to talk about. So Capcom has this what I like to call the Capcom uh, sneer, which is this expression that is like literally in every single one of their games. If I were to look up a video that Mr. Films had published, let me see, Leon cutscene animations, whatever, cutscenes from films, animations, where is it? Leon cutscenes or Leon expression. God damn it, where is it? Leon facial. Come on. Facial animation. Where is it? God damn it. It was like somewhere around here. Capcom sneer. Yeah, it should be here. Okay, so here it is. It's an expression that is literally in every like single one of their games. It's, you know, squinted eyes and open lips. You also have that in Street Fighter 6 as well. Like for example with Ryu, you can see it right here. And the thing with that expression is that even though like I'm pretty sure this was mocapped, for some reason Capcom has this very specific way of doing the expression that like even though those are two different art styles, they share the same characteristics. Like you can tell that this is a Capcom made expression. So, but yeah, because of the art style differences, whatever. Because of the art style differences, Leon's flexes are going to be significantly more detailed than Jiri, which does not have the furrows and wrinkles and all that stuff going on. Like as you can see, you have the motion, the basic motion of everything, but it's like a very soft compared to Leon's expression. So yeah, let me just fix something. So this is the eyeshadow, which is gonna cut right through her eyes, which isn't really good. Though honestly, do I really care? No, I don't really care. Whatever. Uh, I mean, maybe I do care. Do I care? Okay, I do care because it looks ugly. You can tell. So the way that I handled her eyelid flexes for this is the motion is anatomically accurate. I'm gonna explain it in a second. Basically, the way that I like to handle these expressions is gonna poke out. Nope. As you can see, when you close your eyelid, your orbicularis oris muscle is going to relax. Not relax, but it's going to contract and shut the eyelids closed. The inner orbicularis oculi is gonna shut the eyelids. It's gonna be responsible for closing the eye, and then everything else around it kind of just contorts and stretches and contracts like the pieces of a gear set in a clockwork. So eyelid is closed down, just moves straight down, and then everything else starts moving towards the tear duct because that's the motion that the muscle has. And so a lot of the skin is affected by this. The skin is not like made of rubber; it's one huge piece of like fabric that's stretched across all our muscles of the human body. So if one region of the face is stretched and compressed and tightened and all that, everything else is going to be slightly affected by it because it's being pulled uh, towards it. And so as you can see, while the eyelid is just closed, it just moves straight down. Everything else just gets pulled towards the eye duct. And then for F02, which is just eyes open wide, it's the same thing but a reverse. Instead of the muscle being tightened, um, the muscle is actually relaxed and then forced open. And so what will happen is, again, eyelids are just going to move straight up. And then everything else is just going to contract, right? It's going to move further from the tear duct. When a muscle is compressing, it goes towards the tear duct. When it's relaxing, it goes away from it because it's no longer being forced to be there. I wouldn't say it gets like pulled away. It just relaxes and lets loose. Like it's always like at a point where it's slightly tensed, so it's always going to be going towards the tear duct a bit. There's this brush in Blender called the Slide Relax I like to use to simulate skin sliding across the bones and all the surfaces of the face without having to move the actual mesh. It's very useful, and because I converted them all to quads beforehand. Which, by the way, if you want to know how you do it, it's literally just, you have a model that's filled with tris. You just go here, select everything in edit mode, and go tris to quads. And all of your triangles are going to be converted to quads. And quads are better because if I were to smooth the surface of the surface of your expanse, you would see that the mesh would become all distorted. While with quads, if I do that, it's uniform and pretty. And it may not look that bad, like when you see it on its own. But trust me, when you combine it with other flexes, it becomes a mess, and there's only so much corrective blend shapes can do, which is something that I'm going to explore. For F03, it's supposed to simulate the lower eyelid being pulled down by your eyeballs as you look down. So if I look like up per person looking down, you can see that their lower eyelid, eyes looking down actually, it's a better reference, their lower eyelid becomes, it's like pulled down by their eyeballs. And that's what F03 is aiming to simulate. So no anatomy needed here, it's literally just the lower eyelid being pulled down. Although, this would be a great opportunity to introduce a concept called the law of volume preservation, which dictates that whenever a piece of the skin is stretched or compressed, it's going to either thin out if it's stretched or bulge outward if it's compressed in order to keep its volume intact. It's like a ball being squished, really. Like if I have a UV sphere here, oh, what the fuck? If I have a UV sphere here and I have a blend shape where it's like being squished, if I just squish it like that, it's gonna look odd because in real life, in order to preserve its volume, the ball would bulge, would be stretched thin towards the side in order to preserve the volume of that it has. And the more you push it down, the more stretched towards the side it's gonna be, the more out to the side it's gonna become. And tell me, what do you think looks more realistic? This or this? I don't know about you, but for me, this looks 10 times more realistic and natural. Same thing applies to the face. Whenever certain parts are compressed and bulged or stretched, they're going to either thin out, or in this case, because this section is being compressed, bulge. And it's all about preserving the volume so that you don't break the laws of physics. So let me go ahead and just, what the hell? Let me just go ahead and, bulge it out. Or when doing so, I like to use a mix of inflate brush, blob, draw sharp. What matters is at the end you have the illusion of volume preservation, which is like stupidly important for a lot of flexes. And then sometimes creases will form too because of that, because the bulge is so big, it's like just presses against the skin, and it just it just sinks in. Look at that. Suddenly this whole thing looks a lot more natural and believable. Though it's not perfect, but that's okay because eyelid flexes are really the ones that we need to worry the least about for now, at least in this case. And then let's get to our first live sculpting, which is F04. So F04, in fact, is literally the exact same thing as inner squint. So we're just going to sculpt that and then translate that over to inner squint. So here's how inner squint works. With inner squint, where is it? There are still ways you can look about it. You can divide inner squint and F04 into two different things by having F04 just raise the lower eyelid up and then have inner squint handle everything that's around the eyelid. Or you could just have both flexes do the same thing, like the lower eyelid is raised up and then everything else, like the orbicularis oculi, is contracted and moves around. And then you can just have both shaped keys. For the sake of experimentation, and maybe a bit of a breakdown, actually, never mind. We're gonna have to, yeah, never mind. So we're gonna have to do both things. So, but I'm gonna take this as an opportunity to explain better just how the orbicularis oculi muscle contracts. So first things first, we are going to look for a more anatomically accurate portrayal of the orbicularis oculi. This is a great one to see where exactly it is. You can see it's like huge, like it goes all the way down to the cheekbones, and all the way up to the brow ridge. So in Juri, this would roughly be around around here. So you can see it also like goes underneath the brow as well, which is what means that the brow is also going to be affected by some of those flexes. So here, nope. Look at that. Yeah! We have an accurately masked orbicularis oris. Now we can start working. So here's how it's going to work. First things first, inner eyelid. We're going to max everything that is not the inner eyelid out. And we're just going to pull the inner eyelid straight up. Like this. I'm going to use the elastic deform brush because it moves more of the surface area without me having to like use this and then go here and here. It just does everything for me automatically. Why does it keep doing that? God damn it! I'm gonna have to switch to do not disturb. So I'm gonna just pull it upward, mostly from the middle, so like that. And as you can see, unfortunately, the lower eyelid has gone a bit too far. But luckily, because it's a face set that we masked in edit mode, we can just bring it down because we made it into a separate face set. Let me remove the mask. And that's the beauty of just making the hair cards into face sets. It's just so much more effective. So now that this is done, now that the inner eyelid is done, the inner orbicularis oris, sorry, the orbicularis oculi. I keep switching the two. Oculi is for like eyes, oris is for mouth. We're gonna talk about that later. But anyways, now that the orbicularis oculi is the inner orbicularis oculi is handled, we can handle the middle section. So the middle section is the one that gets pulled towards the tear duct. At least that's how I view it. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to mask out the lower eyelid because we're done with that already. We don't need to worry about it. Actually, it's already masked. Let me remask it. And then I'm going to mask out anything that is not the orbicularis oris, like the middle section, which is the region around the eyes, the eye socket, really. So I'm going to select roughly where I think Juri's eye socket lays in. So like here. Nope. Topology is really good too because it also lets you know for some things. Actually, let me just mask the inner orbicularis oris muscle. Yeah, that's fine. God damn it. This is too strong. There you go. And then I'm going to invert it. And then I'm going to mask the lower eyelid so that I don't affect the inner orbicularis oris too much. Okay. So now that the inner orbicularis oris, aka the eyelids, are just pulled up. Actually, never mind. We may need to unmask tear duct region because that's the part that everything's gonna be brought towards. Sculpting flexes is a boring process to watch, but hey. And now we're just gonna grab the lower region of the orbicularis oris. And move it towards the tear duct. So like this. Yeah, something like this is fine. And as a result, because the inner orbicularis oculi is being surrounded by the middle orbicularis oculi, it's going to be pushed in as well. And what that's going to cause is, I'll tell you later, but it's going to cause it to be compressed. And because of the law of volume preservation, when you compress something on the face, it bulges out a little bit. Now that's the upper portion. Now, so the magic of hardware morphs is that the way that Valve sets up their flexes is that a lot of those flexes are like, they control separate parts of the same muscle so that you can just mix and match and do whatever you want with them. I'm gonna go for a more realistic approach, but you don't need to. Like this could be an outer squint if you want to. Like this motion of the upper orbicularis oris being pulled towards the eyelid as you squint. Like this could be an outer squint. This could be like an entirely different blend shape. But I'm doing it in one blend shape because we're going all in. It's just like an anatomy lesson, so may as well go. And so, right, because the inner section and the middle section are pulling in towards the eye duct, the tear duct, what's going to happen here is the upper section is going to be glued to the skull, so essentially it's going to slide around like that. But this region is going to be dragged towards the lower section because, again, the skin is being stretched about. And what this will happen, what this will cause is it will cause this skin on the above the upper eyelid to move a little inward as well. Eye flexes are really tricky to get right because they're the windows of the soul. They're the most expressive part of the human face, really. So if you get them wrong, it's over. All done. My sculpting the flexes, make sure that the motion is correct as well and feels right. Because if you don't get that right, if you don't get the motion right, it may look fine on its own, but then the moment you animate it, which is probably why you're doing blend shapes in the first place, it's gonna look like dog. Yeah, that looks fine to me. A bit exaggerated, but that's okay because Street Fighter 6 is exaggerated. Street Fighter 6 is like over the top. You have to see the muscles, etc. on that thing. So yeah, I think for Juri this is fine for now. This is the basic motion. Now I'm gonna add some of the extra details. So due to volume preservation, like I said earlier, you're gonna have a bit of a bulge here, though it's not gonna be something like ridiculous, like this because there is not enough. Like we can do this, but like I don't think there's enough like compression going on here to cause that much bulge. So what's mostly going to happen is a very slight one. And as a result, this slight bulge, a bit of a crease will form. Though for Street Fighter 6 models, creases and folds are not that noticeable. They're not that prominent, so I'm going to be a little more subtle. Like if I were to do the exact expression on Leon, which is a realistic model, I would probably like add wrinkles and all that stuff. Like first off, I would like probably subdivide it. First off, I would turn it into quads, trace the quads, then subdivided. We're still under the 60k limit for source, so it still handles this. I'm gonna very quickly sculpt the squint expression for him. It's probably gonna take like a very short amount of time. I mean, I've done this before, so I just know what to do. Whatever, go on. With a realistic model like Leon, things like wrinkles and creases and folds and etc. would definitely be there. Like because these models have wrinkle maps, sometimes it's good to not go too over the top because wrinkle maps are going to be there for you and they're going to do the job and they're going to do it well because they were sculpted with that purpose in mind. So but still, it's fun to sculpt some wrinkles and folds and all that into the model once in a while. Like this is like the basic squint shape key, right? I could definitely do a better job if I wanted to, but it's just a demonstration. And then stuff like the orbicularis oris muscle on Leon here. There's a recalculate normals. Damn, these have vectors. Oh, okay, that's not gonna do. Anyways, whatever. Things like Leon, like this furrow here, which is the orbicularis oculi muscle. I would like deepen it to make it look like it activated. I would like slide the skin and the surrounding regions towards the tear duct to make it look like the skin is really sliding across his face. Look at that. Stuff like maybe wrinkles and all that would also be deepened. You would have some volume on his eyelid.
Hello, folks.
Right.
What's good?
Hey, man.
Yo. Alright, so I'm just explaining how the differences between like a Street Fighter 6 model and a realistic model like Leon, like how the flexes will look different. So for Leon, you would have bulges and creases and all that detail, like the furrow from his orbicularis oculi muscle would be deepened. At least I like to deepen it to make it look like it was actually activated. You'd have all that detail, right? But then for Juri, if I were to show you the same expression, I would say that you don't need to add all of that. Did he leave? God damn it. Okay, you don't really need to add all of that because.
That sometimes happens when you think it's for PC.
Oh man. Anyways, so yeah, that's you don't need to do all of that because Street Fighter 6 is cartoony. It's not, it's not Resident Evil 4. So you don't need to add all of that. In fact, I would advise you not to do so because if you do, it's going to look uncanny and like really horrible, and it's not going to look good. I may have exaggerated the brows a little bit, but that's a fix for that. One of the fixes that you can do is you can select the region that you want to maybe tone down a bit in edit mode, preferably with wireframe turned on, and hit blend from shape, select basis, and then drag it across until like you think it's fine. Then any artifacts that are left behind you need to smooth out.
No.
And yeah, look at that. Now the brows don't move as much, and if anything, it looks more realistic. That's how it looks with textures. Yep, looks great. That's how it looks under lighting. See, yeah, yeah, it looks great. Look at that. Maybe I could bulge it up a little more here. Yeah, look at that. She looks cute and adorable as ever, despite having severe mental issues. And then maybe we can have the element of the orbicularis oculi furrow being activated. This is like the inner furrow, if I recall correctly. Yeah, it's like the middle inner to inner furrow. So this is just the inner region of the orbicularis oris muscle being forward increased. But yeah, again, you don't need to go all over the top. You don't need to worry too much about like details. If anything, what really matters for these models is like the basic motion, just making sure that it's all correct and congruent. Cool. So now that we've done this, let's move on. So eyelid flexes are done. You know, they look all cool and dandy. Now it's time for brow flexes. There you go. So this is where the interesting anatomy comes into play. So how do brow flexes work? Well, first things first, the brows are moved by this muscle on the face called the frontalis muscle. They look like this. They're attached to the brow. Yeah, they're attached to the. Where is it? They're roughly attached around the brow ridge of the skull, and then originate from the skull, like a hairline, really. And the way that it works is that you have it. It's like divided into two sections. You have the inner section, which controls the inner brow. So, like, if you want to do a static expression, that's usually the muscle that's doing it. And then the outer section, which controls the outer brow. And so this is how we're going to do it. Let's do raise inner brow, raise brow in first. So first things I'm going to do is, again, mask out the regions that I don't want to be affected by it. So I'm going to mask everything that I do want to be affected first. The back sides don't really matter, so don't worry about it. And then invert it so that only the section that I want is there. And then we can start sculpting. A tip that I'm going to give you right now that's going to save you a lot of trouble later is do not, when you're moving parts of the face, don't move it by the actual parts themselves. Move it by the muscle. What do I mean by that? If you raise your eyebrows, like this is going to look fine on Jury probably, but you know, let's do it. If you raise it like this, sure, it may look fine, and you're going to think, oh, there's nothing wrong with it. It looks fine, whatever. But when you add an emotion, it's going to look a little off. Like, again, it's going to look acceptable, especially on Jury. But if I were to instead move it from the muscle, from the frontalis muscle, which theoretically would be above the eyebrow, and then have it do the thing that it does, and then adjust the eyebrow, look at how much natural the motion looks. I'm going to just put a side-to-side comparison here. We duplicate this, yeah, blah, 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 whatever. I will do it the wrong way first. Actually, no, let's do it the correct way here. No, I'll do it the wrong way first. So I'm going to pull it exactly by the brow, like right here. Yeah, you may look fine, like this is okay, whatever. And then I'm going to do the correct way. Pulling from the muscle. It's okay if the eyebrows stretch a little bit too, because that is actually something that does happen. And if anything, it just makes it more realistic. So feel free to adjust the shape if you don't like it. I don't like it, so I'm going to adjust it. Let's see. So they both look fine. However, the motion on this one versus the motion on this one. It's a very subtle difference, but if you really look closely, personally, I think this one has a much better motion to it. Because it's actually being pulled from the muscle. You can see like the forearm distorting, just like it does in real life, because of the muscle being pulled and activated, as opposed to here where it looks like the brow ridge is just moving, like the brow ridge in the skull is just moving up, which is like, yeah, sometimes it works, but I prefer this. It looks just 10 times better. So yeah, that's tip number one, really. Tip number one that I'm gonna mention: when moving parts of the face, don't move the parts themselves, move the muscles that move them. Pull from the muscles that move them. So for raised brow in, I'm going to pull from the muscle, from the frontalis muscle, the inner region, by pulling from above the brow to better simulate the motion that the muscle has in real life. What the hell? Okay, there you go. Don't be afraid to like do it in chunks, by the way. Like, you can literally just do this if you want to. And that's okay, because as long as you get it done, it's fine. If anything, it's better than like doing something like this and just going, oh lord, oh no, or I don't know, this and going, oh that looks, yeah, you know, step by step, it can also be a good option. For inner brow in, a lot of people tend to confuse it with frown, or like they tend to pull the eyebrows together. You don't want to do that because the eyebrow being pulled together thing is done by another blend shape that I'm going to talk about later. For raised brow in, you want to pull the brows, the inner brows at least, just straight up. Doing that, what the fuck? Okay, that's better. You just want to pull it straight up. That's actually a really good. Yeah, what the fuck? That's so much better. Okay. What is the volume preservation thing? Hold on, let me check. What's that? I've never seen that in my life. First of all, I'm gonna mask this since it seems to be much more powerful now. Alright, 100. Oh, that's cool. I don't want that though. Thank you. I can do that myself. Anyways, so doing that. What the fuck is wrong with you? This is weird. Anyway, so you just pull it straight off. Not really a huge huge worry. And then once you pull it from the muscle, then you can go in and adjust it if you want to. And again, for the topology, it's usually good to make it look like how the muscles will look like when pulling everything up. So like this would be, I want to make that like look like straight lines primarily. So I'm just gonna do this. Nice, look at that. Look at how cool that looks. Especially notable when textures are on. So yeah, cool. So now that we've done the basic motion, we can start working on little details. Detail number one that I'm going to talk about is the brow bridge, or the nose bridge. Sorry, the nose bridge. So in the nose bridge, what is this region actually called? Regions of the brow. Canfold distance. Height of the skull. The nasal bone, yeah, whatever. So in around the nasal bone region, you have this muscle called the procerus muscle, which looks like this. And when you and it just moves like up and down. And because it's attached, roughly to where the uh, the frontalis muscle is, when the frontalis muscle goes up, the procerus muscle is stretched. And again, in order to keep the volume, because of the law of volume preservation, when something is stretched, it thins out in order to preserve its volume. So we're gonna grab the procerus and we're gonna thin it out like that. You can look at yourself in the mirror doing it. I'm gonna exaggerate the hell out of this for, well, not that much, but still, I'm gonna exaggerate it a bit for Juri, because this is a cartoonishly characterized model. Is that how you say it? Let's hope it is. The procerus muscle tightens together and stretches thin, like that. And again, make sure the topology looks like how the muscle would actually look. You can also use slide relax too. Like that's the another advantage of having quads instead of tris. If you hold shift, it allows you to even out the quads on the topology. So it oftentimes does the whole does the whole, oh, let me make it even and all the straight lines thing for you automatically. So now that the procerus muscle is handled, actually I may have exaggerated a little too much. Yeah, I have. It's okay. We're gonna try to preserve, and this is something that a lot of beginners oversee. We are going to now go and preserve the shape of the skull. What does that mean? I'll tell you what that means. You see this right here, the brow ridge, or whatever this is called. This region is skull. It's supposed to be skull. Like if you touch your face at that region, you can see that it's literally just your eye socket. And so if we were to just leave the expression at that and have that move and sink in a little bit, it will look odd. Like this looks fine, but it would look kind of odd still because it looks like the skull is moving and caving in, and that's not how it works in real life. It's gonna look odd. So what I'm gonna do for this is I'm going to first off make sure that the blend shape is all the way on, so that the value is set to 1. Then I'm gonna mute it and still keep it on, and then in the region where the skull roughly is at, I'm gonna draw with the sculpt draw brush roughly where I think this is at. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna do all of our changes for us and keep the volume of the sculpt relatively intact. And I feel like this is the most accurate way to do it because you don't have to like guess. You just need to look at the character's like neutral face, and it's just gonna immediately let you know where the regions are. Then you just have to draw over them. It's a really good technique. It's one of those techniques you just kind of develop by doing it a lot of times. So yeah, let's see how that looks. This is with the skull. This is without. With, without. With, without. Personally, I would say this version looks more natural. Let me tighten the procerus muscle a little more. The important thing to notice about the procerus muscle is that just like everything in the human face, a lot of like how it contracts when you raise your eyebrow really depends on like the person. So some people have like more fat around this area, so the procerus won't be as visible. Some people have less fat. Some people have the procerus muscle like bulge out and be very visible. Others it's like barely there. For Juri, because she's not a real person, and I would like to like just give my own artistic interpretation of how I think her face would look like. And I could use references from the game, but you know, sometimes I like to do that after I'm done with the. I like to do that for like very specific expressions, like smiles and all that stuff. For everything else, I try to rely on just solely anatomy knowledge and just how the face moves and the art style of the game. And usually, it looks like close enough that it still looks right, because just like the sculptor who sculpted the character's expressions in the game, he's also following the same principles I am, although a lot more efficiently. I will admit that. God, I hate triangles so much, dude. This is like 90% of the reason why your shit becomes destroyed when you move the mesh around. But anyways, and now that we've done this, and you don't need to do this at this point, but I'm gonna do it because why not? The third step after you do the basic motion and then you add in the details is fine. Is finishing touches, which would be stuff like skin moving and stretching across the face. So you can look in the mirror when you raise your inner eyebrow. What happens usually is because again the skin is one large, um, you know, fabric stretched over everything. If this region of the face gets stretched up, because your skin is glued to your skull and all of that and the muscles, obviously it's not just gonna go like this, but because it's one big cloth, what that's gonna do is if this region gets pulled up, everything else is gonna be affected by it as well. So that's the secret to make your flexes look realistic right away. It's just making sure that the skin is properly affected by the motion of the muscles. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go around the cheek regions and etc. and just move the skin up and make it look like it's being pulled towards the direction of the eyebrow. Now these are very microscopical changes. You don't want to overdo them. You don't want to make them too like noticeable, because if you do so, what may end up happening is it's just gonna look like stuff is moving on their own, and you don't want that. For stuff like this, you want to make sure that the skin always looks like it's moving for a reason, which is why pulling from the muscle and making sure that it's stretching towards the place that the muscle is driving everything towards is like a really good idea. It like helps sell the idea, the illusion that the muscle is actually controlling the joints and not just the joints are moving. Oh, the fuck. Hi. Okay. Maybe I should pull this down a little more. Like maybe I shouldn't have that shape. Yeah, maybe those lines should be a little more even. Yeah, that looks fine. We can get away with this. Now, on a model like Leon, you could add more detail and add like stuff like wrinkles and all that stuff. Like if I go to the project file right here, you can see that there's a lot more detail going on with Leon. Like more skin sliding around. And then with stuff like brows raised, you see stuff like his lids are being controlled, his orbicularis, auras, as well as other pieces of his face skin are being pulled and distorted. You have like four head wrinkles because again, he's a realistic model. But for people like Jiri, who's stylized, you really don't need any of that. You really just need to make it look. You just need to get the motion right, and then everything else is up to you, really. And if you want to go by how Street Fighter 6 is going, you don't want to make sure. You don't want to like over detail this. You want to make sure that the motion is correct, and then move on. Just check something. Yeah, just getting some of those skull pieces right. Oh right, those are full of tris. Better not to use a smooth brush then. Okay, and I think this is good enough. We can move on. Maybe I can tweak the shape of the eyebrows a little bit. Yeah, this is good. We can move on. So brow out, I like to do it with brows in, toggled in, so that when you have like both brows raised, it looks uniform. Brows out is literally the exact same thing as brows in. It's the exact same process. The anatomy is the same. The only difference is that instead of being the inner portion of the frontalis muscle, it's the outer section. So it's this section roughly, right here. So I'm gonna go ahead, mask everything that I want to be affected. Yada yada yada. We've played this game before. And now I'm gonna do the same thing I did for the frontalis muscle for the outer brow. Just pull it straight up, pull it from the muscle. I'm not grabbing the outer brow and going like this. No, that looks disgusting. Pull it from the muscle so that the motion looks more realistic. And then for realistic models, what I would normally do is I would like, because the frontalis muscle on the outskirts has like this very specific shape that you're seeing here, I would maybe make that shape more visible to make it look like the muscle is being activated. That's like a really good cheat to do. when it comes to like facial expressions, just defining the muscle shape more to make it look like it's being activated. But for Street Fighter models, I don't think that's like a necessary detail. That's like kind of going over the top. These are supposed to be cartoony ass models. So now that we've done that, I'm gonna go ahead preserve the shape of the skull by drawing over the eye sockets where they roughly are. And then, as you can see, everything's preserved. God damn it, I hate triangles so much. Triangles suck. Only reason why games use triangles is because they're something performance based. Let's look up, why do games use twists? Oh, they're more efficient and use less memory. That's literally the only reason. Otherwise, like, what the fuck? Uh, Sculpting on quads is like objectively better, which is why professionals usually do that before converting the mesh to triangles. Okay, so this looks fine. Like, it doesn't look like the best blend shape in the world, but hey, it's fine. It's fine. It is perfectly okay. And even though it's good to like preserve the shape of the skull, it's important to know that like because skin is gonna be across it, it's not gonna be that defined. It's gonna be a little softer, especially with the
You
Street
might
Fighter
need to
6 right now.
re-explain that because Discord lagged out for a minute.
Well, I was just saying that like even though it's good to preserve the shape of the skull, you may want to smooth out the crease a little bit just so that it doesn't look like too defined. Especially for Street Fighter 6 models, they're soft. They look like drawings. No, I'm sure those are tris, so maybe it's. God, I hate tris so much, dude. I hate triangles. The only reason why this shit is useful is before performance. I wish I could have like just full on quads, but hey, the fact that I have quads at all is a miracle. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful. So yeah, let's do some tweaks. Let me adjust this. The outer brow has this very art shape to it. And if you want to go a little further, something that the frontalis muscle tends to do when you raise your eyebrow, as you can see it on Leon here, your hairline tends to be pulled in a little bit. So take a very close look at this line here around the hairline. Look at that. See how it's being pulled in? This is the frontalis muscle right there. See? So that's a product of that. So if you want to, you can go ahead and do that as well. Though, again, for Street Fighter 6 models, you don't need to. I'm gonna do it anyways, because like, why not? But yeah, this is the optional detail phase of this whole thing. And remember, it's very subtle. The brow should still be moving more up and down. And look at that. Look at how natural that looks. And yeah, that's our raised brow and flex. Maybe I'm gonna go over here real quick in the face and just bring this up. God damn it. Triangles, dude. May they all be damned. Okay, whatever. So yeah, that's our brow flex. Wrinkle nose. So remember about the posterior muscle that I talked about? This is like the main thing it does. If you sneer your nose in a mirror, you'll see that your inner brows are going to be pulled down. And if you sneer your nose and then raise your brows up and then relax them while sneering your nose, you're going to see that your face is going to look normal. But then the moment you like tense up your eyebrows again and just relax them, you're going to see that the posterior muscle is going to be activated. So I can look up an example. Pixar facial rig. Demo. Where is it? 3D facial animation rig blend shapes. And showcase. Whatever. Who cares? Let me look up here, actually. Hmm. Yeah, you know what? Whatever. Who cares? Basically, what it does is you have the posterior muscle right here, and it just pulls the inner brow down, like just straight down. You're gonna grab the inner portion, and you're just gonna grab it straight down, like that. Though with electric, with yeah, elastic to form, you may want to mask out some stuff first. There you go. So it's just gonna go straight down. Now, this is not to be confused with a frown, because a frown uses entirely different muscle to do this. This is more like a frown intensifier, if that makes sense. It's not something that you can do alone in real life with the human face. Um, at least not as far as I know. But you know, if you look up sneer nose, where is it? Or just facts, actually. Oh yeah, right here. This is a great example. So as you can see, actually never mind. Yeah, whatever. This does the brow as it goes down. It's because of the procerus muscle, and valve has that be its own blend shape because control. Now, if this was a realistic model, once again, I would like add nose wrinkles and all that jazz to it. You know, like make it ultra detailed and all that, because that's how the human face works. Yada yada, whatever the hell, and it will look something like this. But Street Fighter 6 does not have that. Now you can choose to ignore that, like entirely. And in fact, if you wanna ignore it, you'd probably like definitely go crazy. But I'm gonna stick to the game's art style for now, and look at this reference from Jury, and you can see right here. Not a lot of wrinkles. So just this. Oh my god, they did the volume preservation thing for me. Thank you, Elastic Brush. Oh yeah, it just does this, and it just looks like this. It's like very basic. If we were to do that on Leon, I'd definitely add a lot more detail. Like, you know, I would go in, pull his brow down. Let's do that symmetrize, why not? Just pull his dumb ass eyebrows down. Look at this man. Bro is not having it. Bro is pissed. And volume preservation, then bunny wrinkles, all that useless jargon that is never gonna get you anywhere in life because artists don't bring food to the table, but they do bring really cool art. So I guess it's worth it either ways. I'm gonna just turn off symmetry because this shit is annoying. You're gonna go in. I would like go in, sculpt in the wrinkles that will be caused by such an event. You know, all that jazz, yada yada, whatever. It'll be like ultra detailed and obviously it will look better than this, but just an example. So yeah, it will look something like this, roughly. Because the model was asymmetrical, it kind of bites me in the ass a little bit, but whatever. Um, yeah, something like this. So you'd have all the wrinkles and etc., and then you would have like sneer nose, all that jazz going on, right? It will be like 10 times more detailed. But with Street Fighter 6 models, you don't have any of that. It's literally just yeah, that looks awful. Please forgive me, but you get the idea, right? I would like be a lot more realistic with it. With Street Fighter models, it's literally just these lines, and that is literally it. And again, it looks like it's like a drawing, really more than anything. Yeah, look at that. If you add like a filter to it, maybe if I went in, you know, made the light very bright, and then disabled specular and volume, and made the radius. I don't know what I'm trying to do here. What the fuck? Anyways, if I maybe to like, yeah, whatever. Like, it almost looks drawn. Like if I had like an anime thingy here, it would be very clear. It's not that detailed. You know, it's not as detailed as Leon with all the nose flexes and etc. It's like much more simple. So then with that in mind, let's go to frown. So while wrinkled nose brings the brows in, frown brings them together. So I don't know if Juri is also frowning here. I'm assuming she is a little bit. But I'm going to look for Kemi. Because if I recall correctly, she has one where she is frowning. And I'm going to use that as a reference. There's also Chun-Li, but, you know, that's a different story. So I think that it's also the exact same wrinkle as you see here. I'm assuming that's the pattern that they went for, these models. So in order to respect that, I'm going to mask this line and preserve it. And I'm going to pull. So before I do that, the muscle that's responsible for this is called the corrugator, which is right here. And yeah, there's other muscles involved, but the corrugator is the main one. As you can see, it's attached around the skull, the eye socket in the skull, and literally all it does is it pulls it towards the middle and the center of the nose. So, like this, roughly. Oh, I did a mistake. See how I grabbed the brows? That's not what you want to do. Here it's fine, whatever. But you want to pull it from the muscle. This is a lot more important for like realistic characters, but I just want to do that here so that I can burrow that concept in your head. Pull it from the muscle. Though honestly, with this, it doesn't really matter as much. Though I'm gonna pull around the brow. Whatever. Yeah, we cooking. Go. And you get this shape. It looks a little silly, but we can fix it later. Oh lord. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Maybe let's calm down a little bit on that. Whatever. So this is like, actually, whatever. So this is the basic shape of a Street Fighter 6 round. I feel like okay. So let's redo this so that I can explain it to more clarity. So again, you have a muscle called the corrugator, which is like around here, that pulls the browns together. So for electric brush, I'm gonna go here. Just make sure of something. Yeah. I would advise to mask out the upper eyelid entirely. The mask, all that bullshit. Let me see. Okay, that's good. And then you grab from where the corrugator would normally act from, which is like right where the brow is. So in this case, even though you're pulling from the muscle, it's okay to pull from the brow because that's where the muscle is, and you just bring them together towards the middle of the nose, right there. See, like that. I want to bring. So yeah, once the brows are pulled in and together, I think this is fine. Yeah, it should be fine. I actually like this better than the previous one that I did, which looked very off and ugly and stupid. Yeah, this looks great actually. What the fuck? So once we've done that, we can now go for the detail phase. So one of the things that happen when you frown, and you can definitely see that here in Kemi, is the skin above your eyelid gets pulled along as well. Because the muscle is really affecting like the whole brow region. So yeah. Can't you take me to Funky Town? Cool. And then what I'm seeing here is that on Street Fighter 6, at least for Cammy, this shape right here is somewhat exaggerated. So I'm gonna clear the mask, Alt M. That's how you do it. And I'm gonna bring it down. Actually, that actually made the figures in action. Though yeah, it's not gonna look correct as of now. But whatever. Actually, should I have pulled the skin in that deep? Or nah. Yeah, I think this is fine. And as for frown, I'm gonna exaggerate the shape by just drawing it like right here. Is your tris here? Yes, I have to be careful. God damn it. Okay. Good. Great even. Honestly, I think this is fine. I'm just gonna do the frown wrinkle for Street Fighter 6, and it should be fine. Yeah, okay. So this is the basic stuff. And now we have our first thing that we may need to use a corrective for. So as you can see, both of these blend shapes do not look good together. They look very bad and unnatural. And that's where corrective blend shapes come into the picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new blend shape. I'm going to write down the names of the two blend shapes I want to activate this corrective when, toggle together. A corrective blend shape is basically an additive blend shape that it gets activated automatically when two or more flexes are activated at the same time. So in this case, I want to correct this mess, which happens when you activate the frown and the wrinkle nose blend shape at the same time. So I'm gonna create a blend corrective called frown underscore wrinkle nose. That's how you do it in source. I'm gonna go to scene properties. I'm gonna select the DMX for jury, and then I'm gonna select what the fuck? Why don't you let me do the thingy? Oh, right, that's why. I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna generate corrective shape key drivers. And what that's gonna do is it's just gonna automatically create the corrective for me. And then all I have to do is just actually sculpt it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use blend to shape, go to wrinkle nose, and I want it to be less dominant. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the reins on it a little bit. That looks fine. Okay, we can work with that. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna maybe pull the center down and I need to adjust some things here, dude. That's what I feel like needs to happen. So let's take a look at it once again. The crease is too much, but though this may be an issue with the shape key itself. So let's see. Yeah, I exaggerated it too much. Let's smooth it out a bit. Because there are triangles. No, there's not. Oh, thank God. So you have all that, all that. You're too skinny. There you go. So now this looks a little less exaggerated, and there you go. And now, just to like indicate, I'm gonna take some creative liberty just to indicate that this is like really compressed. Instead of doing all the wrinkles, what I'm gonna do is I'm simply going to go here and make the crease deeper. And then I'm gonna go here and draw some frown wrinkles. What if I do that on the actual frown blend shape though? Oh goddamn. Yeah, just have it be here, almost like a drawing. These characters are just a bunch of like very realistically shaded drawings, but still drawings nonetheless. They're cartoony characters of the real thing. It doesn't match the art style. Cool. Yeah, it looks fine. Let's see how it looks under lighting. I need to make it a little bit more pronounced. Yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter if it deviates from the art style. Honestly, not too much. That is. We can deviate a little bit, just a little bit though. Not too much, otherwise it's gonna look bad and ugly and stinky. And we don't want that. I don't want that. I don't know about you, but I don't want that. You know what? That's fine. We can work with that. Yeah, whatever. That's fine. So now that we've done this, let's see how it looks with the corrective. Yeah. And then I'm gonna deepen the crease of the frown to basically say in Street Fighter art style language, hey, the creases are deepening here because there's more pressure being applied. And because of the law of volume preservation, this area is gonna puff out a little bit. Even when like a character is very stylized, volume preservation is always they're gonna be there. It's always gonna be a thing. It's not just something that's like, oh, it's just with realistic models because it's what happens in real life. Nope, nope. Even if we were to like make a very cartoony character's flexes, it would still need volume preservation. It's just how the laws of physics work. I'm sure there's like a law of physics explaining volume preservation better than I can. Maybe there is volume preservation. Yeah, whatever. Who pinged me? Oh, let's go. It's not. Yeah. Oh, there you go. I mean, look, whatever reference you have, just use it. You know what I'm saying? Just yeah. So like, we can actually use that for. I mean, I would use that for a realistic model, but since Yuri is not that, then we're just gonna stick with like um um um. No, that was me actually. Sorry. Anyways, so look at that. It looks very cartoony, and it fits the art style like a glove. Yeah, we got somewhere. Though, unfortunately, because it's a low poly mesh, you're gonna have these artifacts. Never mind, they're gone. Yeah, so that is now. It fits the art style, and I have some of my own like little flair to it there too. Look at Leon, dude. You fuck with the white render plate Leon. I fuck with him. Apply. Yeah, Ultra A. What the fuck? It has shape keys? Dog, it does not have shape keys. What the hell are you on about? It literally does not have link shapes, dude. What the fuck? Oh, it does. God, it is a skill issue. Yeah, that was true. Okay, so here he's just chilling. So yeah, look at that. It looks very good. I like that a lot. It looks a lot like Kemi, but I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it looking like Kemi a little bit. If you want it to look less like Kemi, what we can do is maybe protrude, like bulge out this part a little more. But again, I don't really care about this. This doesn't matter as much to me as much as just getting it to look correct and within the art style. There you go. Whatever. That looks fine. It looks fine. It looks perfectly acceptable. Maybe I should make it look like. No, the wrinkles dictate in the art style that it must look like this. So yeah, this is what we have. That's our first corrective blend shape. If you look how it looks on its own, you can see that it looks very questionable. But then you add it to both flexes, and it looks normal. It looks perfectly fine. Though I'm not sure about the frown lines here, dog. I feel like yeah. You know what? Whatever. Let's move on. I can fix those later. So now we have frown, and inner squint is just the same thing as F04. Then from shape, 1, 0, F04. There. Same thing. One thing I would like to fix on this, though, is the tear duct looks weird. Yeah, it shouldn't be moving like that. But you know what? Whatever. Okay, we still there? Okay. So whatever. Now let's go to outer squint. So this is where it gets interesting. We're gonna use both cheek V and outer squint. So, cheek razor. It's like I said, the thing that separates a genuine smile from a fake, uncanny, Homelander-looking one. This is a really good reference that we can use, actually, as the difference between the two and how it looks. So as you can see, the cheeks raise, and then the corners, they also compress. So what's going on here? Why is it doing this? Well, I'll tell you exactly what's going on. Orbicularis oculi. Let's go back to that boy. So the orbicularis oculi, like I said earlier, is divided into 2 to 3 sections. The inner section, which is for the eyelids, the middle section, which is around the eyelids, and then the outer section, which is for the outer section of the eyes. Well, what we're going to do now is, instead of focusing too much on the inner sections, we're going to focus on the outer sections primarily. So I'm going to gather up this reference. I like it a lot. Actually, I like this a lot better. New image. Come on. God damn it. Okay, there you go. It's just going to do the same thing, whatever. Oh, man, that sucks. Hold on. God damn it! I want to get a print of when she does it so that we can get a. Oh, there you go. That's okay. So yeah. So what's going on here? Well, you can very clearly see here. So remember the orbicularis oculi furrow that I talked about on Leon? Right here? Yeah. Remember how I said that it becomes more like the furrow becomes more pronounced as the muscle activates? As you can see by the fact that her orbicularis oris furl is pronounced, we can tell that it's been activated. So, but how exactly? Well, the outer portion of the eye, of the orbicularis oculi muscle, where is it? Yeah, look at that. So the orbicularis oculi is compressed onto itself on the outer side, on the outer regions of it. And as you can see, it doesn't really move that much towards the tear duct. Inner squint does that. See? But outer squint in cheek V or just cheek razor kind of goes. It just goes up. It still goes towards the tear duct, but it does not slide as noticeably as inner squint. Like you can kind of see, like, hear the motion. Can you see my mouse, by the way, during the stream? Like my cursor? Duran? Duran? You there, bro? This man died. But anyways, as you can see, it's still there. But, it's not as intense. So, breaking it down, what really happens is, come on, the outer region gets pulled towards the tear duct, but it doesn't go like this, like in the inner squint. It just goes outward and a little more towards a broader direction. And then as this region gets pulled towards the tear duct, the outer regions are pulled as well, and they also are pinched, which means that they go down. See? Not as much as the outer section. The outer section is the lower section is the one that moves the most, but the upper section is still like slightly pinched, and you can actually kind of see it being pulled a little bit here. Real. Okay. So I'm not gonna do it on Leon. I'm just gonna do a stylized version of it here. So let's take a look. How would that look on Street Fighter? There is actually a Jamie expression where he does do the cheek razor a little bit. That's kind of hard to see. Yeah, right here. So mostly by what I'm seeing, the focus is primarily on the cheek, and on, yeah, the inner squint usually gets the hang of it. However, because we're doing source flexes and not, Capcom official source, the Street Fighter 6 flexes, we're gonna take some artistic liberties with this. So this is how this is gonna be divided. Outer squint is going to handle the actual orbicularis oculi, sorry, part of it, where like the corners of the eyes are gonna be pinched, and then the cheek V is gonna handle the cheek raising. So let's look at here for reference first. Right here. I'm seeing it right now. Orbicularis oris goes towards the tear duct, mostly the outer region. And then the malar fat, which is the fat of the cheek. Malar fat pad. Right here. The malar fat gets pulled up because it's glued to the skin, and skin is glued to muscle. And so therefore, if skin is going towards a place, the fat is going to follow. This is a really good example of like a simplified version of it. As you can see, as the orbicularis muscle, the movement that's highlighted in green goes towards the tear duct. As you can very clearly see, the malar fat bunches up, and that's cheek V. So here's how we're doing it then. What's good? Who joined? Yo, Films, what's good? God damn. Okay, Films, what's good? Okay. Bro is just leaving. By the way, okay, you can see my mouse. That's good. So let's do it. So, like I said, cheek V is going to handle the cheeks being raised, as you can see, in red for the molar fat, which looks roughly like this, the yellow part here. And then the orbicularis oculi, which is the eye muscle, is pulling the outer sections of it towards the tear duct. So let's try doing that. So I'm going to, first off, I'm going to select the lower region of the orbicularis oculi first. If we look at the images, I need like an accurate version of it. Where are you? Here, this is an accurate version. If you look at the images, you can see it goes really low. It goes all the way down to like the middle of the cheekbone, the lower middle of the cheekbone. Let me just go to object mode real quick, just to save my changes. That way, if I hit Ctrl Z, it's gonna go to scope mode. It goes all the way down here. Obviously, because it's stylized, it's gonna be not as proportionate as a real orbicularis oculi, which, as you can see on Neon, literally goes all the way down here. So like on him, it would be like, let's see, be right here, maybe lower. So like it would be 10 times bigger than Jiri's, which is relatively small. So yeah, again, another difference between stylized and realistic models. I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna start doing the motion. Where is it? Cheek raiser. Look at that. It's moving straight towards the tear duct. I'm also gonna mask out the upper portion of the tear duct so that it does not move, and I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna move it from the muscle. Let's see. And I think I'm gonna go a little more detailed with the volume preservation here. So it should look something like this, like the rough motion. Let's compare it to the reference. This is like a tricky one to get right, so don't be ashamed to use references. Pro artists do it. Why won't you? You know, if guys who work on the industry for literal years use references, why won't you? It's okay to use references. It's not okay to not
We're
use.
just too good.
Huh?
We're just too good to not use. We're just too good to not use references.
That's industrial grade copium. Not gonna lie. So
That's
yeah.
base as hell, though.
I guess so. And for the upper section, you can see right here, it moves very slightly. It's like barely noticeable. It's like a microscopic motion. I'm gonna go here, yada yada. This out. Oh, okay. Then I'm gonna bring it down. Very slightly. Look at how like subtle this motion is. Some people like to exaggerate it, and for cartoony characters, I sometimes do that. But let's keep it like semi-realistic for Street Fighter, because like Street Fighter is stylized, but it still keeps that semi-realism, as you can tell by yeah. So we need to keep the anatomy relatively semi-realistic. Sure. Man, I love Street Fighter. Holy shit. Anyway, so yeah. And then, as you can clearly see here, the corners of the orbicularis oculi are tied in here as well. That's where like it moves the most. So it's gonna go kind of in this motion. Actually, I should go back to mask that. Yep. Go here. It rotates a little bit too because it's pinching. And look at that. We have a somewhat okay-ish looking outer squint flex. Now, as you can see, if we do it like realistically, it looks very subtle. which honestly it's not a bad thing. But for a game like Street Fighter, where everything is like all over the top, you do have the permission and liberty to like exaggerate certain things a little bit. So let's see how it looks. Maybe I need to move the inner a little bit as well. We can cheat a little bit if you want to. It's like lighting in Source 1. Sometimes you can cheat by adding bounce lights where there wouldn't be any, but you know, it would still look cool if they were there anyways. Because like one thing that's important to notice is that because it's like I think almost impossible to not move the inner orbicularis oris when squinting like that, she's also tightening the lower eyelid a little bit, which would fall into inner squint territory. But that's okay. No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. And then, now that the basic shape is done, we can start doing the other stuff, which is the details. So here, if this is the orbicularis oculi, where are you? Here you are. Orbicularis oculi attached to like the side of the eye sockets on the skull, so like here in this region. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring those together because it's being pinched. It's pinching together. Look at that. That is beautiful. Beautiful stuff. Yes, sir. What if I use a pinch brush? Where is it? I mean, it works if used fairly. It's just that's probably not how the muscle moves, but whatever. Now I'm going to select face set so that I don't affect everything. I just affect the skin, and then I want to inflate it a little bit. Maybe use some blob. Again, volume preservation. This thing is being compressed to hell. Not that much, so that you know you'd have stuff like this going on, but like still, it's being compressed. So volume preservation tells me that this needs to be inflated and bunched up, and then I can add some creases here. Let me see. Does the bottom lip, the bottom also do? Yep, it does. Okay, so let me inflate it. Yabba yabba you, you, yabba la la la, shabba la 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 do. Awesome. Okay, that looks fine. The way that Team Fortress 2 does it is that they also inflate the upper cheek. It's like they have it divided into like two sections, right? You have the lower cheek and the upper cheek. I'm gonna do that because I think it looks off, honestly, when you don't do that. But just remember to do it sparingly. So yeah, let's go for that. Actually, let's use blob. And then because this is being pushed up, this is gonna have a bit of a crease. And the two volume preservation. I like that though. And a bit of a bulge. It's so shrimple. It's crazy how shrimple it is. Cool. Shrimpleness, exactly. Geniuses admire the shrimp. Yes, sir. Look at that. Look at how beautiful this is. Yeah, this is okay. Let me pull the cheeks up a little more. If you stick around for long enough, I'm actually gonna do glute flexes for Jiri. So yeah, you're gonna get to see me look up ass references. All right, that looks great. Actually, I like that a lot. It looks better than I thought because I'm actually following process because I have to explain it. I like doing those because like I'm forced to explain a process, and because I'm explaining it in English step by step, I calm the fuck down and just don't just like go all over the place. And then if we want to, we can actually no. Again, creases, furrows, all that stuff. It's not going to be very present. Not at least not on the female characters. I can add some, but yeah, let's not go. You know, Chad Max Thundercock with it. Let's save that for Resident Evil 4 models. And then this is going to bunch up as well because again, volume preservation, man. All about that volume preservation. The most beautiful thing in mankind. Next to Asian woman. Beautiful. Simple.
God bless
effective.
Asian woman.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Whatever. And then put this here. Yay. So now that we've done that section, let's do cheek V. Cheek V is just the cheek being raised. And now it's very easy to get this wrong because most people just select the cheek and go, oh, I'm just gonna go do this and blah, 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 blah. Then I'm gonna smooth it, then I'm gonna go invert, and then I'm just gonna go do this. Look at how beautiful the flex looks, dog. Nah. So what actually happens is you're supposed to work in unison with outer squint for this one because, as you can tell by this, it's thanks to the motion of the orbicularis oculi, which is done by the outer squint flex, that you get the cheek raising. The orbicularis oculi moves towards the tear duct, and then the cheek follows. So that's a very tricky thing to get right, and in fact I would love to use this reference. Dude, I need to group my shit, hold on. This is a mess. New group. Facts. So let's look at this beautiful reference. Yeah, that's good. Nice. So as you can see, there's a science to this. The cheek doesn't just move vertically up. As the corners compress from the orbicularis oculi doing its thing, cheeks follow. So, yeah. This would be more. I should inflate this more. Great. Perfect. Perfection. So this is how we're gonna go about this. I'm gonna select the malar fat region roughly on Jiri. As you can see, it's attached to the nose and a bit of the eye, and then it follows the what do you call it again? I forgot the name. It was, I think, infraorbital furrow. That was the name. It's this right here. This thing, whatever it is. You know, like laugh lines, all that stuff. So it goes around and then attaches to the cheekbone, goes down. You know the drill. So let's go to sculpt mode and mask that region roughly. So it starts here. Let me check again. It starts here. And it follows the eye a little bit. Actually, let me do that better. Starts here. It follows the eye a little bit. Goes all the way up to the side of the cheekbone. Goes a little across. Ends here. And then follows the laugh line, or the infraorbital furrow. Yeah. That's roughly it. Then you... Oh, no. La 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 blah 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 blah. Okay, good. Whatever. What the hell? And now we can start working. So this is a very careful thing. I'm gonna start by looking at the reference once again. Even though this is where the malar fat is, the nose region does not move at all much. So I'm just gonna mask that. Oh, come the fuck on. Okay. So all we have left with is the cheek region. So it's not just pulled up, it rotates a little bit too. And then as it does so, it pulls a bit of the mouth with it as well. So that's the motion we need to look for. Yeah, right there. So, I may actually need to do that for outer squint. So give me a second. Yeah, man, this is boring, but hey, we need to do this. We need to go through the boring parts of life to experience and appreciate the exciting ones. So let's grab this and rotate it. Ready? What's the part that moves the most? By what I'm telling, it's this around this region here. So that's where we're moving it from. Let me use elastic deform first. So actually, let me make that mask a little more. Yeah. So I'm gonna grab it, rotate it from this side, and then because it's being punched up, it's gonna bulge out a little bit. Rotate it. Yeah, it's rough out here, man. Can't have shit in it. Source 1. Motherfucker stole my memory.
Hey, random. Sorry for bothering you, but I've been sculpting this inner brow razor, and I just want to show you how. I just want to show you my progress if you want to see.
Sure. Let me see.
Let's see. Let me share my screen really quickly. Let's see. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, see what I've gotten so far.
All right. So you probably want to fix the topology issues on the eyes, as you can see there.
Yeah, I don't know what to do for that.
Have you tried reset vectors?
Yeah, I think so.
Try it again, just in case.
There.
Is it gone? Nope. Then smooth brush will have to do.
Yeah, I was actually using the smooth brush
Oh.
not long ago.
Is there more than one blend shape activated, or is it just inner brow?
No, it's just this.
Well, then I guess. Yeah, you're gonna have to like use a smooth brush to fix that because I have no idea what the hell that is.
Darn it. Something
What?
like this. Basically, do that.
I mean, yeah. What the fuck? That's so weird. Why is that happening?
Wait, let me check if I subdivided them all.
Oh, you subdivided as tris. Wait, zoom into the region that's fucked real quick.
What do you mean?
Zoom into like the part. Like just zoom in. Just let me see it from up close. Oh, that's why triangles. You're gonna have to.
Wait, I forgot to do tris. Oh my days! I thought I did that already.
Oh no, you did do it. I can tell, but like, unfortunately, Blender doesn't.
Quads.
It's not perfect. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, you're gonna have to like adjust the topology with grab tool or etc. But so far it's good. What I would say is, are you pulling the eyebrow from the muscle, from the frontalis muscle, or are you pulling the eyebrow itself?
I'm pulling it from the